Hello everybody and welcome back to another Space Engineers video, where today we are going to be messing around with more suspension contraptions. Because I've spent way too long away from this subject. I've been messing around with a lot of things over the last couple of months. And yeah, I wanted to show them off here because you guys just seem to love this topic, so I thought I might as well do some more. And the last time I made a proper suspension video was April of 2024. It was a while ago. But yeah, we are back in our world. There we go. Our suspension world of doom, where I think this is gonna cut it low to the last time we can record in this world, because oh my god, the lag. We're starting to feel it a little bit. So yeah. And then over there you may be able to see a little bit of a leakage for the next video. Yes, I've got some plans. Okay, so let's get into today's video. And before we get started, I want to make a couple of things clear. One, these vehicles are more just demonstrative purposes of how you build these vehicles, and it is not a copy and paste type vehicle, right? So I don't have blueprints for these vehicles. So unfortunately, you're going to have to work out how to do it here. Two, this is not a tutorial of how you make each of these. This is more just showing off different mechanisms that you'll see. I'll show the rough mechanism off here and show how it works, but I'm not going to show you how you build it. You'll have to work that one out yourself. And three, all of these things are for a bit of fun. I understand it's not always feasible or the best way of building these vehicles. You know, they each have their downsides, but I just find building these things fun. So don't shoot the messenger. Okay, and the other thing I'll say is if you hear a random crunching noise, that's just my dog in the background. Don't worry about him. Okay. So we're going to start off with this first design, and this design was entirely created to try and make a thin as possible suspension. So either A, you can put them really close together like this, or B, I just didn't want to make it massive. So this is about as small as I could make it, where it was feasible and that actually worked. So you'll see here it uses two suspensions, well technically three. Your main wheel is your blue. This is your actual suspension, and then these are just your free arms to keep everything stable. So, you have your hinges, well, you'd have your hinges off. So all your hinges should be off. These hinges can also be off. This is obviously using the rotor head trick. And then if I was to change the height, imagine you're pushing a vehicle down. You'll see here, it pushes up. Rather nice. Ta-da. So that's just generally how that thing works. Oops. Whoops. I'm doing all the wrong things. Can you crunch any louder? He's a very cute dog. Okay, so this is a design. You see here I've got 8 of these wheels. And yeah, it uses the subgrid wheel control script like every vehicle I basically make, because there's no way of controlling these wheels through that seat when we're messing with this many subgrids. So yeah, always take that into consideration. And then, you know what we're going to do first is we're going to show each one off, and then we're going to go back through and actually test them on that same pad that I always use. So that's our first design. The second design is basically what this one is, but more compact. So I was happy with this, but I was like, it's a bit overcomplicated. Can I make it more simple? And this is what I came up with. So it uses 3 hinges, where that one uses 6. And it only uses 1 suspension, then you'd put your other suspension onto this block down at the bottom. So again, you want your hinges to be off. You see all of these are off. And then when I change the height of this one, you'll see it moves up and down. I think, rather simply. It's quite good. Again, I've made an 8x8 here just to show it off. And again, these are only like, this is literally just one block wide. So again, you can put these as pretty much close together as you want. Again, a very nice design. The only thing I will say about all of these designs is they tend to work a bit better with some extra weight. So obviously these designs are very bare bones. It is just the chassis with the suspension. Once you actually pile on some weight, it actually works a lot better. So here was a design I never actually built a full mechanism for because it's a little bit unstable. And I'm still trying to 100% work out how to actually make this thing work. But it's essentially like this one. But the main problem I had here was, if you notice, I guess it's harder to show. It'd be easier to show here. You see the wheel blocks here are angled, which means when I'm in here and I twist, it also twists each of the wheels slightly up, which, to be honest, it doesn't really cause much of a problem, apart from I'm just fussy. So here I basically tried to make a double wishbone suspension type design as compact as possible. So you'll see here, this rotor connects to this, this hinge connects to this rotor, which then connects to this block, which is mounted to there. And this hinge connects to this rotor, which is then connected to the block there. So you'll see, basically you got a block, two diagonal ones, one's there, one's there. And then off that is where your actual suspension is. And it creates basically a design a little bit like this. So it's not perfect, but it works. The only thing I've sort of realised, it doesn't really create too much height difference. But yeah, I'm still trying to get this to work. It's a little bit too many grids in one small space, so I'm not quite happy with it. That's why I didn't make a full vehicle. But I thought the mechanism was cool enough to show in this video. Moving on. So here is where I started to create a design, which I was actually really looking forward to. I was really thinking it was actually quite cool. For two reasons. The first one, I really want to build an actual large grid rover in my survival series, and this is a type of mechanism I'm actually thinking about using because it's quite simple and it's quite solid. So this design uses two different ones. It uses a wishbone suspension here, which is a little bit simpler than that one. It's just hinges, and these hinges have a little bit of torque to them, just to try and keep them down. And then this is actually the cool mechanism here. So it runs down from a hinge, which runs into this block. So a hinge on a rotor, which allows this whole bit to twist. And then above these wheel suspensions, we have two sets of suspensions, which then go down. Now this design I've actually had in the works for a very, very long time, and that is why I'm using the full length suspension. You notice in some of these ones I'm using the compact suspension. Yeah, this vehicle was designed way in advance of all that. But in short, what this vehicle can do is, if I lowered that, it has just a lot of suspension travel. You see, because it's got two full things worth. I want to actually lower that, and that's only half of how low it can go. It can go again even lower. Let's raise it up. And then this design here is essentially what this part was, but just double. So I put obviously on the front and then attached the back to the back, and then just tried to lengthen it with putting another set on. It kind of works, it kind of doesn't, but it's kind of cool. So let's test these vehicles out, shall we? So I'm going to bring the first vehicle over to the test site, and then we're going to test it out. So I'll see you guys in just a second. Okay, so the first vehicle is obviously here. I haven't done... Well, because I built these vehicles quite a while ago, I actually can't remember how they operate, so we're going to find out together. Isn't that going to be fun? So we're going to go through all 4 tests each. So this is the first one on the first test. So you'll see here, it has a decent amount of height offset. You can see each one of the suspensions flexing. I think overall it is quite satisfying. Yeah, I think it's quite cool. I think they don't flex quite as much as I want them to. But it's definitely better than nothing. Like if I push these onto just a centre bit. Like that. Yeah, it doesn't flex quite as much, or at least on this surface where it's this test bit I made here isn't really designed for real world tests. It's very sort of symmetrical, not what real life or real game worlds are actually like. Really, what I should do is test on just the actual natural terrain, but this is more just to show you the actual suspension travel more than anything, and how it sort of moves. What I like about is you'll see the resting point. If you pay attention to this, the resting point of this suspension is actually slightly higher when it's sat idle, or it's slightly in the middle, which means when I lift these wheels up, you'll see the front one goes up and the back one actually goes down slightly, which helps just try and keep traction on the ground. See that? But again, it's not perfect. These are quite serious bumps. I design, like, the only vehicles that are really going to get over these while staying in contact with the ground are like the ones I built in the last video, where they're designed as being more like rock bouncers and that kind of thing, where it is just all about angle travel. I built these designs to try and make it a bit more realistic and quite compact, so it doesn't take up too much space. But again, I think I've managed to get quite a lot of suspension travel out of quite a simple design. Yeah, that's that one. I think this might give it a good bit, because this isn't all symmetrical. It's quite a bumpy, but like slightly different road. So this is the third one. So you see here, if I move it to the front, you see how they're also nice and independent. You see here. Oh. It just sits on the ground really nicely. Yeah, I like this design a lot. Went over some sharp bumps. It doesn't care. It's quite happy. Nice. And then the final one. Now, I don't know if I'm going to test every single vehicle. I'm going to test every vehicle on every single one of these. It's going to be a longer video, but we'll see. We might do it. So this is a more extreme one. As these tests go by, they get more and more complicated. What are you doing, dog? Wait, yeah. Come on, off. Where's your chew? This. There you go. There you go, boy. Dog duty. Oh, you made me fall off. I blame my dog. Right. Continue from here. Again, these are very excessive bumps. But it's doing them. It may not like them that much, but it's doing them. Ish. Ah. Alright, so we got stuck there. But overall, I really like this design. Let's move on to the next design. Okay, so here's the next design. Again, this is just the same as what the last one was, but it's a bit more of a compact. So I would expect fairly similar results. Also, that is way too fast. 13? That's a nice middle ground. Again, it drives over these bumps with relative ease. It's not the most elegant or stable, but it's pretty good. If I push it over to this side, you'll see here. It more or less just drives over it. Not all the wheels are in contact with the ground fully. It doesn't seem to have the most ground clearance, this particular one, but overall, still quite happy with it. Let's move on to test number 2. So this is a more extreme ridges. To be honest, I don't think it'll do much better on, so we'll see. So this is where the ground clearance of, the amount of travel of this suspension, you see it struggling. Yeah, it's not designed for this particular one. So we'll leave it off for there. On to test number 3. This is a bit more of a realistic test again. I like test number 3. Okay, so at the moment, the first design is doing a little bit better than this one. But it is still making it through the course. Like I've painted the wheels orange, but I've left them grey on this side. That's fun. Yeah, it got through this design. Not all wheels were always on the ground, but it didn't bottom out, so yeah, I'd say it did alright. And will it be able to do the one that the other one couldn't do? Let's find out. We're fine on ground clearance. Ooh, it gets thrown around a lot. Again, it's spending the majority of its time not on the ground. Ooh, now it's into the bit where it throws it off. It's completely thrown off here. Oh, but it's going. Oh. Ah, we got stuck in that ridge. Can we reverse? Yes. Yes. We stuck? No, we're not stuck. Come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, yes, maybe. Who knows? Oh no, we're stuck in there. We're stuck in a rut. Oh, there we go. Ah, it did it. Very nice. So that's design number 2. Let's move on to design number 3. Okay, so here's design number 3. Let's see how this one goes. So the front suspension doesn't really travel too much. You see this back one. It's really nice. It's curving nicely. Like it's just following the contours of that bottom bit very, very nicely. Yep. It's got a bit of a sway, but that's not too bad. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's done that quite nicely. Move on to the next bit. So the more extreme version. Let's see how it does. You see the back? The back's actually a lot better than the front. The back is coping very nicely with this uneven terrain. But it's being thrown around quite a lot. I'm having to steer quite a lot to keep it on the actual track. You see here, it's just got pulled off it. but it's doing it. And again, you can see the flex in this back section. It's, to be honest, helping it a lot. Very nice. And then it'll be for the third test. Again, I've said before, I like the third test. The third test usually gives you quite a good understanding of how it actually is. Because it's not just the same. So you'll see here, this back suspension. Yeah, it's just again following the contours of the uneven terrain very nicely. Climb up here. Yep, it doesn't care. And the other nice thing is all of these vehicles, they don't have really any clang. You see, obviously, because they're a small grid, if they had any clang, they'd be spinning or anything like that. Did that all nicely. And all of these are very, very easy. What is the dog getting now? He's attacking something. And then for the final test, will it be able to do this final test? Let's find out. Again, that back suspension is really doing a good job. I think it might be the front suspension will let us down on this. Over the big bumps. Hasn't quite got as much middle ground clearance as all the other vehicles. That might set it back a little bit. But it's doing it. It's being thrown off to the side. And the whole body is getting thrown. Oh, we got entirely thrown onto the side. Yeah. And is that where we're stuck? No, we're not stuck. Oh, come on. Ah, we're stuck here. Alright, it did good. But the final vehicle should be what that one was, but much better. So let's test that one now. Right, is it just me? Or is 6 always better than 4? I think it is. Let's see how this one does. So this is the same as what that back class one did, but all of them. So let's see how this does, shall we? So the back end doesn't really have as much flex as... Like the back two. Kind of like a solid axle bit more, to be honest. Front's flexing very nicely though. Let's see if I just keep it at the 4 meters a second. What's the... Ooh, that's a nice view. Yeah, like that. You can see just by it having that freedom to move, it just really likes it. Yeah, no, very nice. Move on to test number 2. Let's see what first person in this one's gonna look like. Hey, yeah, you can see purely just how much travel it has. The back end's being thrown around a lot. What's actually happening? Yeah, it doesn't like it that much. It's a bit like the other one, it's being thrown around. Ugh. Quite hard to control. But it did it. It did it. Move on to the third design. I think this will completely go through this third design without any issue whatsoever. See what the front looks like. Yeah. It's very satisfying, isn't it? Especially when you can just see it all moving. And up and over. This vehicle just has the power to get over this course. Nice. And on to the final design. Oh, the final test, shall we say. Dash number 4. It'd be rude not to have a look in first person again. You see, both sides can travel up if they want, or it can do the whole twisty. But it can't slide fully left or right because of that middle stem. That's what's holding it entirely sort of in the center line, so it can't just slide diagonally. And over it goes. Yeah. Okay, so these were the designs I made. You'll see here, there's one that I liked in particular. I moved on to large grid. But you know, these are the designs. Let me know what you think about them in the comments down below. And if you have any other ideas of different types of suspensions or any other videos you want to see on this channel, let me know. I want to get back to doing these kind of smaller videos again because I really like doing them. And I'm starting to get a bit more free time again, so yeah. If you enjoyed this video, remember, hit that like button. It helps me out more than you think it does, and shows this series is one you want to see continue in the future. And just me messing around in this game, shall I say. As always, my name has been Quantum Chief, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!